So we've got some options. We're not particularly positive or optimistic, I guess, about what these embryos are going to do. We expect to see daily progression, if you like.
Yeah.
If you look at them every day, you'd expect to see an increasing cell number up to the point of blastocyst, hopefully. In some of them, not all of them, but some of them. And then again, you know about grading as well. You get good, average, and not so good. Some embryos stop, some go all the way to the blastocyst stage. What we've got today is, yesterday they were checked and we had a 2, a 3 and a 4 cell. One of the ones which had fertilised hadn't divided. Again, not ideal, but we see about 5% or so of embryos or eggs which fertilise don't go on to divide. That's just sort of natural selection, if you like. Again, we don't always know why, because they can look very nice when they fertilise, but they still look very nice the next day, but they haven't done anything. But the cell number, we would expect 2 or 3 of those, you know, probably 3 of them, to be honest, to have increased in cell number. But they haven't. Now that either means that they've arrested, they've stopped, or they've slowed down for some reason, and they might carry on, but not ideal. You know, if you're looking at your textbook or your averages, you would expect at least a couple
especially
of them
if all 3 of them
show
have done
a difference. So it's kind of across the board. It's possible that the cells are not dividing, but the nucleus inside is dividing. So again, that's not ideal. It means they're developing sort of genetically in that the chromosomes and nuclei are increasing in number, but the cells aren't, the package isn't, which again wouldn't normally equate to a healthy or normal embryo which could implant or go the whole way. And obviously they need to be doing both of those things in synchrony at the same time to get your ideal embryo which has got a chance. So I've spoken briefly to Dr. Kafar, and the options are we can either say that's it and not do anything now. We could, I mean, some patients may say, I want to put them back anyway, just in case, you know, on the understanding that there's a tiny chance that one of these might be having an arrest, for want of a better word. You know, again, not ideal, but we do see a very, very low number of cases. Too few to give you any sort of percentages, but literally, I've seen a couple of cases where we've seen what we think is an arrested embryo, and we've got a pregnancy and a baby, but most of the times we have seen it, we've not seen a pregnancy and a baby either. So, and there's always I guess the argument that, well, if they're not doing things normally, then we may get a pregnancy, but it may not be a normal one. I don't know. You can look at it from all sorts of different angles. So we could either say, you know, we could be very sort of black and white and say they've not done anything for 24 hours, that's it, we advise not doing the transfer, but they're not our embryos. So you obviously have a big part in saying or deciding what we do. So we could call it now and say stop. We could say let's put them back just in case, or we could look at them tomorrow, then they've had pretty much 48 hours. If we do get a surprise, you know, and it would be a surprise, to be honest, a surprise restart, as it were, and some cell division, then we may be a bit more optimistic that embryo might have a chance of doing something. It may just confirm what we think today, that the embryos have stopped. You know, more confident or clearer decision making process.
What are the odds of them, the small odds of them developing better being inside me now than waiting an extra day?
That's one of those really difficult, almost impossible questions. We think our culture system's pretty good, or very good, you know, and if an embryo is not growing in it, then we would say it stopped. But then, as I've said, you get the odd case where you put an embryo back and you think it stopped. Whether it's because you put it back, it resumed, or it would have done that anyway, we don't know. So I couldn't honestly say that your environment would improve the situation for the embryos significantly. So it's probably, I mean, we can, you know, you might want to have a talk and think about it, you may have some questions. But we would probably say if it's going to grow, it's going to grow in our culture system. If it's not, then most probably that's it.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be that sort of niggle in your head. What if I put them back just in case? You know, it may have rescued them, if you like. We're not strong believers in that, but we can never say no because you always get surprises in medicine
also
and IVF.
worried about my immune issues as well. If I put it back and they're struggling to develop, let's say, and then my immune system is attacking them as well.
That's kind of been targeted, hasn't it? So you've had some...
My levels were still high. I had 2 rounds of Humira and they haven't dropped to a level where it's safe. But
okay, they haven't dropped too much. Okay. Again, if you've got immune issues, it's not going to help the embryos. They're not in a situation where we say, let's freeze them and use them in the future.
Yeah.
When the immune issues are calmer or lower. It's kind of almost now or never in terms of deciding what to do or not to do.
It's so hard because, like you say, they're still... One hasn't dropped off necessarily. They haven't, because they go dark, don't they? If you can see that they've actually...
we see fragmentation and breaking down of cells. Ultimately, sometimes that's apparent within the first few days. Embryos dividing quite happily. Then the next day they're tiny fragments. Other times they just stop, and you can look at them a week later and they look almost the same. So it's quite variable. So you get arresting, sort of stopping of growth. But you also get degeneration in some cases. I mean, there will be a deterioration eventually, but for some reason, some embryos you can look at sort of days later and they look just like they did on day 3 a week ago. Good grade if you wouldn't know that they're sort of 10 days old, for example. And others, it's apparent.
Because it's not that great anyway that there was only 1 4 cell. The others were 2 and 3.
Again, I mean, 2, 3, 4 cells is a normal number, but if they're racing ahead, they'll all be at the 4 cell stage in the morning. But you get variation. That's what you see. It's normal to see variation. Some patients just happen to be sort of luckier than others, and then they get more top grades. Some patients don't get any top grades.
I don't know. Half of me's thinking just to leave it till tomorrow and just see what they're doing.
It's kind of. I don't know, looking at 2 bad situations, which one is the least bad situation in terms of if you put them back today, then you've got your 2 weeks of sort of waiting and sort of wondering what's going to happen, and I don't know if you're on gestone injections or so you would have the gestone to inject.
Which is horrible.
It's well, I don't know, but I know. Some people say, well, I'd rather do that just in case, you know, praying every day and everything crossed just in case. Other patients say, well, I don't want to go through that for 2 weeks.
If I didn't have immune issues, I think I'd probably put them back today. Because I do, I think I'd prefer them to be in the environment that you've got here and wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
What do you think, though?
Yeah, well, that makes sense, doesn't it? To wait a day. Otherwise, as you say, you've got 2 weeks.
Because we're going to France on Friday, and I don't want to be... I just can't deal with it waiting around and everything.
Well, it may not be as relaxing holidays as you want.
Okay, well, let's wait till tomorrow then.
Well, it's no trouble to us to wait till tomorrow. It's just whatever you think would suit you the best, you know, to be honest. And what was, it's not a happy situation, but what you're going to sort of cope with better.
I think maybe wait till tomorrow then, just to see.
Okay.
Right. And then come in, I guess, if you think it's worth it, maybe not.
Again, I think it would be a surprise. But I don't want to say 100% that's it. You know, because we do get the very odd surprise. But again, I wouldn't be expecting to come in tomorrow. So if you're in that frame of mind that you're, if it's a big surprise when I say come in, then that's the way to sort of be viewing it. But I think we'll give them, complete chance and check them tomorrow, just in case.
Okay. Goodness, I didn't think this journey could get any worse, but
It's not good. There's nothing I can say to sort of help really, I don't think, unless you've got any questions or anything.
I don't think you might.
I don't really at this time. It's just a bit rubbish, obviously.
It's rubbish, and